As we leave the Galilee, skirting the Kinneret on the west, we continue south to where the Jordan River leaves the lake. Across the meandering Jordan River is the country with the same name. Where it meets the Jezreel Valley, which cuts across from the Mediterranean, is the well-situated city of Beit Sha'an, which means a place where one can be at ease, find peace and quiet, or rest securely. At such a crossroads, with a constant water supply and easy-to-cultivate fields, it certainly was an idyllic place, but that also means it was highly coveted, so it was well fortified. With its very steep embankment, the top of the wall was 90 feet above the surrounding ground level, preventing attackers from even scaling the walls with ladders. But the Philistines came all the way from Gaza and captured it at a time when King Shaul was out of favor with Yahweh. They hung his body and that of his son Yonatan, David's best friend, on the walls to gloat over their victory. Nearby Mount Gilboa is where they had died in battle. David pronounced the mournful curse that no fruitful tree would ever grow on that mountain. And it doesn't. The chalk limestone of which it is formed can't retain surface water. Archaeologists are thankful that when the ancients conquered a city, instead of clearing the ground, they often just covered it up and built on top of it. Beit Sha'an has at least 19 levels of civilization. By Roman times, the tell was getting too high and thus too narrow for a whole city, so they built around its base. The capital of one pillar was all that stuck out above the ground, but it clued archaeologists in on where to dig. Beit Sha'an's name was changed to Scythopolis to honor the Scythians, Israelites who returned from the steppes of Asia to conquer the Assyrians who had exiled them there, and resettled here in their own homeland for a while during King Josiah's reforms. As we continue south along the Jordan River, we pass through Samaria, which is still home to a few thousand Samaritans. But Jews today take this road to avoid not them, but the Palestinian Arabs who live there. Well, there never was a nation of Palestine. The Romans called it that, after the Philistines, to try to blot out the name of the Jews. This golden land is also the territory of the tribe of Manasseh. If its true owners return, we might be able to avoid the political problems that stress and distress the land today. The media make it sound like the Jews who are trying to hold on to their ancestral land of Judea are illegal squatters. But does this look like a settlement to you? It's a city. The Jordan River's Hebrew name, Yarden, means the one that goes down. And indeed, after it passes Jericho, it ends at the lowest point on the Earth's surface, the Dead Sea. At 3,000 feet lower than Jerusalem, the Arava Rift is so deep here that planes can fly through it below sea level. The Dead Sea region wasn't always so dead. It was once very desirable land, as Abraham's nephew Lot knew well. But as the bitumen and sulfur deposits in this region were ignited, The catastrophic blast that overturned the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah apparently blew a huge hole in the landscape. With the outflow of the Yarden River now blocked, the crater eventually filled up and became what we now know as the Dead Sea. So much salt has accumulated that nothing but microorganisms can live in it. Yet even this disaster is still benefiting Israel today. The mineral-rich waters that resulted have medicinal value that draws tourists from all around the world. Globs of that volatile petroleum tar from deep beneath the Dead Sea used to rise to the surface and be ignited by lightning, so it was actually called the Lake of Fire. An earthquake in 1840 sealed off that seepage, but seismic activity has again begun to be felt in the region. Another earthquake, possibly the one Zechariah said will split the Mount of Olives in two, could open it back up, allowing the false prophets of John's vision to be literally thrown alive into the lake of fire. Afterward, Ezekiel says, a new river will flow from the heart of Jerusalem down the Kidron Valley, bringing life back into even the Dead Sea, so it too can be a source of fish. But the lake of fire is a real place, right here in this land. For the kingdom to come, these things cannot be left in the spiritual realm. The gospel is not that people can go to an ethereal heaven someday, but that despite our unfaithfulness, Yahweh is willing to renew the covenant and let all of Israel come back to its original, concrete inheritance. This is the promised land.